Why, hello, fifth graders. Glad to see those of you guys who are here with me. We are going to be doing lesson two, a very, very short lesson, which would make you really, really happy. Last week we did the line, shape, and value introduction, and then we did lesson one, which is expression with lines. Today we're going to learn about perception drawing. So, what is a perception drawing? Keep in mind, guys, that we learned this already, and this is just a review. So if you have a hard time remembering this, this might be a good time for you to actually pay attention. A perception drawing, and then the art that we're going to be looking at today is going to be some from an artist named Edgar Degas.
Have you ever seen light shining from behind something so brightly that you could see only the edges or the outline of the object?
¿Alguna vez han visto una luz que resplandece detrás de algo y que es tan brillante que solo pueden ver los bordes, o sea, el contorno del objeto?
So today, let's look at our objectives. Our objective today is to identify characteristics and uses of a gesture line and a contour drawing. What do they use gesture and contour drawing lines for? You're also going to demonstrate and you're going to learn about the artwork of Edgar Degas and then another French artist named Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec. And then you are going to be able to create your own contour drawing of a posed doll or subject. At first, we're going to listen to Anvil Chorus from the Trovatore by Giuseppe Verdi. This is a selection from music. Both works of art in this lesson are from the 19th century, as are these songs. The Anvil Chorus from Verdi's opera, which that means the troubadour, gives you a sense of what it was like in 19th century music. Hello. So let's check it out. Okay, so you can kind of picture what things look like in the 19th century by listening to this kind of music. There you go. So let's look at the actual artwork, okay? Lesson two introduces the different types of lines. We talked about gesture and contour. A gesture drawing is basically a quick sketch. It doesn't have a whole lot of details. It just has a bunch of repeated lines and shapes to capture emotion. And then a contour drawing is when they actually focus on the edges and the ridges and the surface ridges of a subject. Contour meaning like the sides of Let's look at the two artworks on these pages and notice how both artists use lines to show how these people in the artwork are moving. Notice in Degas' painting that he didn't erase the extra lines in the ballerina's arm. In Toulouse-Lautrec's picture, he finished the woman's head but left the rest of her body sketched.
Let's take a close look at the two works of art.
How did these European artists express their French culture through their works of art? European means any country that's in Europe. And these two artists happen to be from the country of France, which is a country in Europe. How did they express their work? How would you use the contour lines to draw something in your room? How would it appear in a gesture drawing? Which drawing seems more fitting for representing this object? So let's take a look at both of these artworks. Okay, so here's the quick sketch. Let's zoom in. 1885 is charcoal, which means a piece of chalk on paper. Okay, like it doesn't have a whole lot of details, but it's like a rough sketch around the edges. See, they focus on the edges so you can see the shape of it. And then here is the one by Lautrec, 1895. And you see there's a lot of sketches, but he drew some other figures in the background. This is how it starts out as a basic sketch. And then when he got it the way that he wanted to, he really just focused on the edges. And then he went and put his details in later on by filling some bits and pieces of it in. So you can see the contours. Where do you see the gesture drawings in these works of art? In the ballerinas, the repeated lines in the ballerina shows movement. In the Madame, in this one, the wispy lines throughout the portrait capture the motion and the scene, and it doesn't show a whole lot of detail, which is what he wanted. Where do you see contour drawings in these works? In the ballerina, on the top half, you'll see these lines right here where it contours the edges and on her left arm. In this one right here, the woman's sleeves are very well defined. Her neck, her hair, and the back of her arm. Find a repeated gesture that represents movement. So here in her skirt, you can see on the back of her head of the ballerina right here, that kind of makes like her head's bobbing. If you look at the lines, there's some gesture lines right here. That could suggest that her head is moving back and forth. In this one right here, her skirt has a lot of lines that maybe it's swishing back and forth. The skirt of the woman and the floor beneath the person in the back of the picture, and perhaps the person's body. Can you see a beginning and an end to the lines? There is not a definite beginning or an end to the lines, and the lines show the edges of the surface around an object. In these works of art, the contour lines represents areas that are still and motionless. Well, let's look at this real quick. A perception drawing. What's a perception drawing? Perception drawing is looking at something carefully and thinking deeply about what you see while you draw it. A contour drawing is when there's an object or a figure and its edges and surface ridges, the contour of an object or figure. Artists often make contour drawings of an object and use them as studies before making a painting or a drawing. It's like a quick sketch, basically. And then contour lines are continuous lines. They don't actually pick up the pencil off the paper. They start drawing and then just kind of moves around. They're unbroken lines that show the edge and the surface of the ridges.
How can you use gesture drawing to capture the feeling of motion that you see?
Gesture lines are drawn quickly to capture the movement of a person, an animal, an object, or a person, or a drawing. And then we said the gesture sketch is a drawing that tries to capture the movement as quickly as possible. Unlike the contour drawing, a gesture sketch will show what the artist sees inside of the object's outline.
How can you use gesture drawing to capture the feeling of motion that you see?
So when you do a gesture sketch, you sketch the outside and you also sketch the inside and put details in. So let's practice. If you are with another person in the house, you could use a gesture sketch to capture movement. You would look at the subjects you are posing, you would notice the lines and shapes that they're making with their body, and you would quickly sketch what you saw. Try to create the capture, the feeling, or the movement that they're doing over and over again. You can have them move and tell them to repeat the same movement over and over and over again. And then you would try to draw that movement on paper with the lines that we talked about. Don't spend a whole lot of time drawing the details. Just share your sketch with us after you're done. And then you can identify the lines and gestures. Here's a gesture drawing. Think about how the student artist used one continuous line to draw the subject posing, Lucas Walker at 11. So he started with a pencil and he didn't pick it up at all. Basically, drew it kind of like an etch a sketch. You know how the etch a sketch, you draw it and you can't pick it up, you have to keep going. And basically, that would be kind of hard to do. But basically, that's a good exercise to do, is try to do a drawing with one continuous line without picking your pencil or pen up. How can you improve your perception or the way that you look at things that you see? Create a contour drawing of subjects. Look carefully at the posed subjects. Move your pen slowly on the paper while your eyes move around the edges or the contours of the subject. Look at the subjects that you draw and glance only occasionally. Do not pick up your pen. Draw one continuous, unbroken line. So if you look at this example, you're looking at the object with your pad and paper, and you're going to just move your eyes, kind of like a mouse would, and you're going to move your pen slowly on your paper while your eyes move around the person that you're looking at. Try this activity by looking at the person and not looking at your paper, and see if you can draw that person without looking down at your paper and without picking up your pen. That should be pretty fun. So at the end, you should be able to describe, or you should be able to draw your lines using the proper procedure. Okay, you should be able to, if I ask you, if you use one continuous line or one unbroken contour line, you should be able to tell me which one that you used. What mood do your lines create? And then were you successful in concentrating on the edges of the surface ridges, or of what you saw and recreating that on paper? What gave you a hard time? What was the hardest part about doing it?
Were you able to create a contour drawing of the posing subject?
Estaban a punto de crear un dibujo de contorno del tema en pose.
See, told you it was short. You have completed lesson 2. There is no test for today, not until we get to the end of this unit. And I hope that you are having a great day. Take a little brain break, do a little PE, look at some music on this link, and have a great evening. And also take a break. Go out and play, as long as you stay away from the people and the other children. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you at lesson 3.